My name is Endavar, and this is Surviving with Mekanism. And we are starting things off today in the room that we got built last time, and I have tidied it up a little bit since then, but this is what we did to get the hydrofluoric acid produced. And with this, we're going to turn this into uranium hexafluoride, and finally into fissile fuel, and that means we can get the fission reactor up and running, and get all the stuff that we get from that. And I am pleased to say this setup is now completely backed up, which might sound a bit of a strange thing to say, but all of this does take a long time to produce. So at the moment I have stopped cobble exporting into here, and that's because I completely ran out. I had 50,000 blocks of cobblestone and I've turned it all into gunpowder, and that has gone through this whole process, turned into sulfur, and gone through here into sulfur dioxide, and then we've got that turned into sulfur trioxide, and then going through the whole thing, and everything is completely backed up. But the slight mistake I made is because I used an importer to bring the gunpowder in and an exporter to send it out, that means there was no way that could back up, so I've ended up with 18,000 gunpowder. So if you were using AE2, you could put a level emitter on there to stop it producing once it gets to a certain point, but we don't have the option in QIO. What I should have done really is just pipe this across, and then it could have just backed up into here. But anyway, I'll stop that now. And the cobblestone, as you can see, is coming in, and that's because I've got 2 digital miners running in the overworld, but you can see from the water block as well, I also have one running in the nether as well. So we've got 3 digital miners running at the minute, all sending stuff back, and I did have one running with silk touch, and that's because I was worried about all the resources that I needed for today. So as you can see, bio ingots were looking a lot healthier now. I've been fortuning down a lot of the ores that have been coming in and getting those run through the ore doubling setup, so we have a fair bit of stuff. It's only the osmium that's a bit of a worry really, but we'll see how it goes. I've also been producing a lot of the steel, because we're going to need a lot of steel casings for crafting the blocks we need for the fission reactor today, and I've also been doing some of the alloys as well, and the circuits. We need a lot of these circuits for what we're going to do today. It's the elite level that we need. So as you can see, we need this for the control rod assembly. We also need it for a few other things that we need for the fission reactor. So that's why I've got a ton of those stocked up, and hopefully I should have enough. So the one I've got running in the nether is because I had real power issues, and that's because I was running one of the digital miners on silk touch so I could get the ores, and then I could fortune them down. But that meant all my power completely run out, and the biofuel production I've got down here just isn't enough. So I've been putting the nether wart blocks in here, because as we know, that is the most productive one. So that goes into this one down here. So as you can see, this is backed up as well, so I should be alright for a little bit, as I'm not running one on silk touch anymore. But once we get the reactor and the turbine up and running, we probably won't need this. We could just have a ton of power coming in from that. But for now, I just need to keep an eye on this and make sure that I've got enough power. And because I was running the digital miner on silk touch, this wasn't actually outputting enough power. So if we have a look in here at the minute, this will now output 1.6 mega FE, because I've upgraded these induction providers into the next level. So that means I needed to craft 8 of the basic ones, and then craft 4 each of those into the next level. So we are going to be upgrading this as well once we get the turbine up and running, but this is more than good enough for now. So this is completely full, and I'm hardly using anything at the minute, and that's running 3 digital miners as well. So anyway, let's get the fissile fuel production finished off, and then we can look at actually building up this reactor, can't we? Right, so the next thing we need to do, we've already got the hydrofluoric acid. We just need to do the uranium oxide, and then pump it into here, and then we'll have the uranium hexafluoride, and that's it. So nice and simple. Uranium oxide, we just need chemical oxidizers, and as these can't be upgraded to factories, we'll probably do a similar setup as we did over here and have them stacked like this. To get the yellow cake uranium, we just need to take uranium ingots, which I have a ton of now because I've been fortuning those as well and processing them. We just need to put those into an enrichment chamber, which we can turn to a factory, get loads of this, and then we're good. So I do have everything on me. I've already crafted it up. I'm organized for a change. So let's just do this. Should we do it down here? We'll have a, did I do a barrel? Should we do a barrel? Because I can't export all of the uranium because I don't need it for anything else. So let's just get that down there. Do I have an exporter? I do. Oh no, that's why I didn't craft the barrel, because I was going to do it with a bin. So that makes more sense, doesn't it? Let's put the bin down there, and then we'll put an exporter on top of that. Or do we want to? No, let's actually let's be smart about this and do it on the back. Let's put that there. Set this to the frequency, and then we just need to say that that should export uranium ingots, and there we go. So that should be doing that now. So if we just shift right click to lock that, put what we had in there, and that's good to go. So right, so we'll just put a block. I'll do something fancy there. I just wanted to separate those two things, so the different processes. I then need a logistical transporter to take things out of there, and that is going to go into an enrichment chamber. So I'll stick that there, and then with our configurator, if we just set this to extract, that'll go into there. that's already powered. I do need some upgrades in there, which I do have here. See, I told you I was organised. So we'll do that and that. And do I have any tier upgrades? Let's get those up and running. Did I actually show this last time as well? Yeah, I don't think I had these up to the elite level, but I needed to do that so I could balance this out and make sure I was producing enough. So I did that with all of these and this one as well. But I don't think I'm going to do that over here. I'll just do this up to the advanced level if I can find where I put them. And in here, yeah, so let's just get one of those and one of those. So let's upgrade that, change that to swords. Right, so that is already full, which is good. So now that needs to go into the chemical oxidizer, and I already have 2 of them. Right, I just need to make sure that this doesn't join. So let's get configurator, turn that off, and I'll pull that up like that. But we're just gonna have 2 of them for now. So let's just see how this goes. So we'll do you and you, and then we're gonna output this to the right, eject on, and those are gonna go into there. Upgrade both of these, and yeah, that is powered, isn't it? So let's put that out there. Right, so that is producing uranium oxide. So we're pretty much there. So we just need to take our ultimate pressurized tube, and this is not going to look great, but let's just go like that. And these need to, on chemicals, output to the front. So that's going into there, and that is now producing uranium hexafluoride. So we just do the same on this one. Chemicals, output to the front, and there we go. That is coming in. So we'll see how it does for speed, and we may need to add some more of these, but that is definitely going to keep up with those 2, isn't it? Right, so that is it. We've got the second to last gas that we need, so we just need to turn that into fissile fuel, and we do that with this thing, the isotopic centrifuge. Can we do this? No, we just need to craft 2 more of the ultimate control circuits. Oh no, I didn't craft it already, did I? Yeah, see, I was organised, but I didn't do this one. So let's grab that, and then I'm just going to put this one away, and then I can put a tube in between. So we'll put that there like that, and that is already doing its thing. So we have our fissile fuel. This is what we need to fuel the fission reactor, and I can upgrade this as well, guys. So let's do that on that. So there we go. That's already doing it, and this is going to fill up well before I get this thing done. So I was toying with the idea of just running a pipe all the way over there, or I may use a quantum entangler pod to send everything. Now I think the pipe would be a good idea, because then these pipes act as a buffer as well. These can hold 1,024 buckets each one pipe. So if I run it all the way over there, that's going to hold an absolute ton of fissile fuel. So that might be worth doing. So I don't think I've got enough on me at the minute. But yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So I don't know exactly how. Maybe should we go down here? That was lucky. Right. So we'll run the tube down this way, I think. Yeah, we can go similarly like we did with the brine. We can just run it back along this way. And I'm going to put the reactor over this side, and then the turbine at this side, which we'll do in the next episode. But we're going to do the reactor today, and then we can pipe the steam over to this side. And then the reason I'm doing the turbine there is because that's what produces the power. The reactor doesn't produce power, it produces heat, and then it turns the water that you pump into it into steam. The steam is then used to drive the turbine, which creates the power, and then that can go straight into the induction matrix. So I'm going to run this pipe first, we'll get that done, and then we can come back and look at crafting all the stuff we need for the reactor and get that built and up and running. Right, so I've got some more of the ultimate pressurized tubes crafted up, and we've got that run over here to where I think it is going to be used. The great thing about these is, as I've already said, they do hold a massive buffer, so we already have 1,300 buckets in there, which is crazy. So it does hold a lot more than that because it's such a long pipe, so that's good. That can just keep stocking up while I get on with the reactor. So I did do a bit of a change in here. As you can see, I have another 3 of these, so we've got 5 of these doing this now, producing the uranium oxide. And the reason that's going so fast now is I'd forgotten to upgrade this machine, so it was doing its thing, but it was really slow. So I've upgraded this now. It's got 8 speed and energy upgrades in there, and once I did that, all of this that was backed up just went completely. So I've added another 3 in, but I've also moved it along one and put a logistical sorter in there because everything was going to the bottom one and not going to this. But what you can do in here is set this to round robin, and then it'll just send it to each one individually, and these are all pretty much fully stocked now. So it's still not enough. I could probably do with another, I don't know, 10 of these, but I'd definitely get through my uranium a lot quicker, and I don't want to set up the process for doing this automatically. So I think with what we've got here, it's going to be enough for what we need. This reactor isn't going to be running 100% all the time. We just need to get it working so we can get into the more advanced stuff. So now we've got that, we can craft up all the things we need for the reactor. Now, there is a really handy tool that tells us exactly what we need if we tell it the size of the reactor we're going to build. So if we just search for reactor and right click on any of these things that are part of the reactor, we have this page, building fission reactor. So I've already set in the values that I'm going to build my reactor. It's definitely a 7x7. I'm not 100% sure on the height, but I've just gone for 10 for now, and I think that should be more than enough, because we need to be able to pump enough water into this to get it working, but we also need to make sure we build a turbine even bigger so we can use the steam that comes out of it and provide enough water back into the reactor. With those values in there, we've told it how many ports we need. I'll explain the ports once we build everything, and then on the right hand side it tells us the stats for how it will perform, but more interesting at the minute is the blocks that we need to build this thing. Now I'm going to do it slightly differently than what it says here, because what we're basically building is a cuboid. So we're having a square at the bottom, and then these blocks here are just for the edges. But what it does, because we've ticked reactor glass, it's going to put glass on the sides and on the top, but it's also going to do it on the bottom as well, which I don't really see the point of, and the reactor glass is slightly more expensive. It is a bit of a pain, if I can see it. Yeah, it's this one. We need to do the enriched iron, which is like half the step towards the steel dust, and the reactor port, much simpler, just steel casing and lead ingots. I just prefer doing it that way. So if we go back into here, what I'm going to do is take 25 of this number and add 25 onto that, and that'll give us the 5x5 in the floor that we don't need. So I'll get all this crafted up, and then we'll have a look at building this and hopefully get it working. Right, so I've got everything crafted up there, but I just realised I didn't mention this today. I was running out of space in my QIO drive, so all of these were completely full. All the red lights were on. So I've added in another drive array, and all you need to do is set this to the same frequency, and then you can just use this and it'll put it onto the discs that are in there. So the reason I've had to do that is because I can only craft the smaller drives at the minute. If we want to do the next level up, we need to do the plutonium, which we get this from nuclear waste, which is what we're going to start producing, hopefully, in the next few minutes. I would like to get these upgraded, maybe today, but I'm probably going to get excited and do something else. So I've got everything I need here. I've got 13 of the control rod assemblies, 91 on the fission fuel assemblies, all the reactor casings, the reactor glass, and the reactor ports. And then I've got the pipes to put the water in. So we should be good to go. Now I'm going to need to craft up some other things so I can send the nuclear waste and process it. But we'll just get the reactor done first, hopefully get it working, and then we can worry about all the stuff that comes out of it later on. So let's get over here, and as I've said many times, this is where the reactor is going to go, so let's just basically start building it. Now, I don't have any building tools in this, and this stuff really looks like smooth stone, so you need to make sure you don't use smooth stone. But if we just put all this down, and as I say, this tool does say to use reactor glass in the centre bit, but I just don't see the point, so I'm just going to put all of this down. It doesn't matter, you can use reactor glass or the casings in any point, apart from in the corners and on the edges, you need to use the casings. Anywhere else can be the reactor glass if you want. So I think I said I was going to go 10 high, didn't I? So that's 8 there and then another one on the top. But let's just work out the pattern at the bottom and then we can do the rest of it. So as you see, we have 91 of these and 13 of these. So these go on the top underneath the reactor glass or casings that are on the top. And then these go down in the center down to the bottom. So the best way to do this is in a checkerboard pattern like this. So we're just going to go to the edges, and there should be exactly 13 that I placed down here. So yeah, that's 13 of those placed there. And then we need to know where the ports are going. And then after that, it's all really simple. It's just basically repeating it all the way to the top until we run out of blocks. So we need 4 ports. One of them is for the fissile fuel to go in, like that. We also need one for the water to go in. So that is going to be an input as well. And we can configure this. If we shift right click on them, we can cycle through them. So that's output waste, output coolant, and then input only. So we need 2 inputs, one for output coolant and one for output waste. Now I have absolutely no idea where I'm going to put them. So I think this side is going to be best, isn't it? So we'll probably have the coolant going from that one, and then that is going to go across into the reactor, and then we need the waste, and that is going to be processed further. Now I don't know exactly where I'm going to do that. I probably should have thought about this a little bit better. I may have to go that way, but I think what I'll do for now is put it here, and then we can go maybe dig these blocks out and do something under there to process the waste. So with that in mind, just so we don't forget, let's change that to output coolant and that one to output waste, and we are good to go. So we just need to put that on there once it's all up and running, and then the fissile fuel going to there. So look at that, 5,000 buckets that already, nice. Right, so let's just get the rest of this built up. I'm just going to put all these down first so I know where I am, and then I can build around that. That's just the easiest way to do it, I think. So I think, I don't even know how many high this is going. Yeah, so that's another 3 layers on top of this, isn't it? Now, we could go a lot higher with this, but I think this is going to be more than good enough. That's that done. We've only got these reactor casings left, so this should be enough to go up all of the sides like this. And it's going to go 2 higher, because on the top of here, we're going to have the control rod assemblies. And this will cap off all of these. just like that. And then on top of there, we're going to have the reactor glass. Now, that doesn't look like enough reactor casings, does it? But, no, don't do that. So it needs to go on top of there. And then we're going to fill all this in. I'm probably going to do this now so I don't fall in. So if I get that on there like that, that's the top of that done. So now, these just come all the way like this, just like a box. And then we just fill in the rest of it with glass. Should be good. I still don't feel like this is enough. Even though I worked out properly, I don't think it is it? Alright, I've got 3 spare. What? Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did a few extra, just because you get 4 for these recipes, so I couldn't do the exact number. But yeah, that's right. Okay, so we just fill the rest of it in glass, and we're good to go. And when I say glass, I mean reactor glass, not just normal glass. That won't work. Right, so on this last side, once we fill this in, this should now form. But it didn't. I've missed one there, haven't I? There we go. That has now formed. So if we right click on this, we can see the interface for the fission reactor. So I think the first thing we should do is get water pumping into here, because this is going to take a very long time to fill up with just the normal mechanism pipes. If you're playing this in a larger mod pack, I recommend using the integrated dynamics pipes, because you can set those to a really crazy high value, and that'll just fill these up. And you don't even need to do the steam. But as you can see, that water is going in, but it is going to take a fair bit of time to fill up. So it did have a bit of a boost there, because that was what was backed up in here. But now these pumps are going to be working overtime just to get this filled up. We'll leave that to its thing, but then we can also put fissile fuel into there as well. If we look at this, that is full of fissile fuel and the water is going in. So we need to wait for that to get to the top, and then we can actually activate this. So firstly, let's just have a look at one of the things we need to do, and that is to increase the burn rate. So the max this can go up to is 91 millibuckets per tick, and that is because of the size I built this. You can go bigger than that, and the smaller reactors won't be able to go this high. But whatever size you build, it will always default it to 0.1 millibuckets per tick. Now, obviously, that is a very low amount, but it is just for safety, because these things can blow up. If you don't have the coolant right, it will start taking damage. You see there, that damage value will go up if you've done something wrong, or if you set it too high, it'll get too hot, and then it will start taking damage, and eventually just blow up and take a lot of things with it. And it's not just an explosion that's the problem, it will also be radioactive, so you'll need to wear a radioactive suit anytime you're in the area. So if you're not too confident, maybe don't build it in your base like I have, but I think I know what I'm doing, so we'll see what happens, won't we? I probably should take a backup before I get it up and running. But anyway, we just need to get that water to fill up, and then we can actually just get it working, and then obviously just for a few seconds, and then we can talk about exporting the steam and also the nuclear waste and processing this into something much more useful. And this is actually the main reason we do the reactor. Yes, it produces a ton of steam that we can use to produce a ton of power, but it's the nuclear waste that's actually the thing that we want. So if we have a look at this, we can turn this into 2 things, polonium and plutonium, and these can be further processed into plutonium pellets and polonium pellets, and these are what we're going to use to craft up the higher tier stuff. So let's wait for this to fill up with water, which is nearly there actually. So should we give it a go? So once I turn this on, this fissile fuel is going to start burning, and we're going to start getting heated coolant in here, which is the steam, and then we're also going to get nuclear waste in here. So we need to make sure that both of these don't fill up, or we're going to have problems. So we're just going to activate it for a short amount of time, and we're also got it all still on the default of 0.1 millibuckets per tick. So now that's full, we can activate this. You can see the temperature does start to go up, and we don't even have any coolant in there because it's going at such a low amount. But we do have the nuclear waste coming in, and then there's the steam as well. So that is all working, we're not taking any damage, and it's heating at 1900 millibuckets per tick, which is a number that you do need to be aware of. So when you set this higher up, you need to make sure that your turbine can handle this amount and send it back, so we don't run out of coolant in here. So we're just going to turn this off for now, and then we can craft up the things we need to start using the nuclear waste. Right, so if we look at the uses for nuclear waste, there's 2 things we can do with it, as we've just seen. We can turn it into polonium. We'll do that with a solar neutron activator. Now, I believe this might need sky access, so I could have done this a little bit wrong. Oh, that's really annoying if it is. But the isotopic centrifuge doesn't. And this is the one we need to create the plutonium pellets, and this is what we use for the high level of the QIO drives. So this might be worth doing this one. I can't believe I didn't think about being underground. Maybe I might just have to dig a shaft up to the surface for that one, which could be really annoying. Yeah, anyway, let's see. Right, so I've dug out this little area down here, made it look a little bit tidier, and I've put a power cable below the floor. And to do that, I just put another output induction port on here, and then that cable just comes down here below the ground, and then we can just put some cables up here for whatever we're going to do. So what we can do, we can use the pressurized tubes as a buffer. So if we put that there, that is going to put nuclear waste. Now, because I put that there and it's got nuclear waste in it, which is radioactive, I can't break this pipe now. Otherwise, we'll have major problems. So we need to think about how we're going to do this. So I'm just going to run it along the floor, I think. I think that would make the most sense. Okay, so a significant amount of time has passed, and I have been doing quite a lot of stuff, which I'll show you in a second. But just to prove how long it's been, we can see in here we do have almost 20 buckets of nuclear waste. And the reason for that is I haven't been able to crank this up, because if we have a look at what I've set it to, it starts at 0.1 by default, but I've set this up to 1.0. If I go any higher than 1.0, then these pumps can't keep up with the water, and the water will eventually drain down and this thing will blow up. And we don't want that to happen, so I've left it at 1, and I have ran it a little bit, so I'll just show you that this is still okay. So the water does go down a little bit, but it keeps it about the same level because when it's set to that. So I've left it at that a little bit, and there we are. That is going up. You can see it goes up fairly quickly, not as quickly as it's going to once we get this running properly, but I think for now we're just going to leave that as it is, and then we'll get the turbine going next time, and then we can crank this up. But what I've been doing, I said I was going to run this along here, and that's what I've done. I just didn't want to do it straight away until I got this plan sorted out, so we'll do something like that, and I'll just connect this and it'll go to what I've been building up here. So there's 2 levels of this. I've got all the pipes coming up down here, so I've got this is going to contain the nuclear waste going into here, and it's going into the 2 machines that we're going to have up there. I also have the power that we put below the floor. I've got that all the way along here, and that goes up to power the machines we're going to have up there, and it's also powering this pump, and the water is going to both sides as well. So just trying to be a little bit more organized, keeping all that stuff out of the way, and then up at the top we have where the machines are going to go. So I've got all the pipes in. It looks a bit broken at the minute, but that's because I've got it all planned out, but I haven't put the machines down yet or even crafted them. We've got the power and the nuclear waste coming up here, and just the nuclear waste to this side, because this is where the solar neutron activator is going to go, and that doesn't need power, it just needs sky access. And that's what I've done here. I've dug a shaft up to the surface and just put a block of glass there, and I have tested it in a creative world. The block of glass doesn't stop it working. If you put leaves above it or the transparent blocks, it does, but glass is okay. We then have a pressurized tube that's going to take the polonium or plutonium, whichever way around it is, I can never remember, into a pressurized reaction chamber, and that's why I've got the water pumping in there as well, because it also needs that. And then we have this other pressurized tube at the end, and that is going to take the spent nuclear waste, and if we just put the pipes down, we can actually do this bit now, and that is going to go into these things called radioactive waste barrels. So this is, we'll basically just take the spent nuclear waste and we can pump it into here, and they do hold quite a lot, but the advantage with this is they will also decay as well. So once we pump it into here, or does it need to go on top? Yeah, like that. So once we pump it into these, it will actually decay and not just sit there and keep filling up. So that's a good thing. It just depends how quickly we use it. We can put some more down if they are filling up too quickly, but I'm just going to go with 1 at each side for now and see what happens. Right, so let's get the other things crafted up, and we can actually get this working now, can't we? Right, so I've got everything up here that I'm going to need, and we should be able to do all of this. So I've got the isotopic centrifuge, the solar neutron activator, and then we need 2 pressurized reaction chambers as well. And I did craft up the enrichment chambers, so I have 1 tank shot. So let's get one of those first, and then another pressurized reaction chamber. Right, so let's get this all down and set up. So the isotopic centrifuge is at this side because that needs power, and then the solar neutron activator at this side. Right, so once we start piping things into this, it should just work. So let's just make sure I've got all the settings right. So we want chemicals input on the back, and then we're going to output to the left, turn everything else off. The pressurized reaction chamber, we want the input on the right, and then the output is going to be on the left. That's for items, isn't it? So we want input on the right, output on the left. And then for items, I haven't actually sorted how I'm going to do that yet. I'm probably going to do it manually, definitely for this one anyway, because I don't need loads of this. Because what we need to put into here is the crushed fluorite, whatever it's called. Is that the right word? Fluorite dust, that's the one. So we just need to put this from a crusher into here. Before we get on with that, because that's the easy bit, let's just get everything piping in. So from here, chemicals is going out to the left. That's right. Did I put eject on this one? Chemicals, eject is on. Yep. So then with this one, same deal, but we're going the other way, aren't we? So input on the back, and then output to the right. And if this one, chemicals, input on the left, and then output to the right. So that one's okay. And then for the items, we're going to import on the top. And I don't think I'm going to output the items anywhere. If I do, it'll probably be with the importer anyway. So I think now we can start actually piping things in now, can't we? Because that should be it. So let's connect up this pipe down here, and that'll start going up there, hopefully into these two machines, and they appear to be doing things. So they should have got, oh no, it's all gone into there. That's annoying, unless it's just done it. Right, yeah, so we have 1,000 polonium in there, which is great, because you need 1,000 millibuckets to get one of the pellets. And this one is getting there. This machine is much slower, but we can upgrade this one. So let's do that now, and then put the energy upgrades in there as well. So yeah, that's done now, and we have just over 1,000, so that worked absolutely perfectly. So it's because I had 20,000 buckets, and it's 10,000 of the nuclear waste to turn into 1,000 of each of these. So with the polonium, we just need to put the fluorite dust in there, and it's the same over here with the plutonium, and then we'll get the pellets. So let's, do we have any, we've got tons of fluorite, haven't we? So we just need to put that into a crusher. I should probably get a crusher over here as well, but don't know exactly where I put it. So let's just do this manually for now, and we can figure out a way of doing this automated eventually. Crusher, let's put that into there. You know, I'll do a bit more as well. Now, I don't need those because I only need 2 for now, actually, do I? So let's just grab that, and then we can just stick half each in these, and it's only going to use 1, and I can upgrade these as well, can't I? And it'll take 1,000 millibuckets of that and turn it into the polonium pellet. Excellent. And then the same thing in here. Oh, well, I should probably upgrade these as well. So let's go you and you. And same over here. Right, so on this side, we now have the plutonium pellet as well. Excellent. Right, so these are the 2 like end game things that we need that is going to really help. So this is going to do the SPS casing, and that is a crazy machine on its own that uses a ton of power. We also use these for the next levels of the QIO drives, but the polonium pellet is the one that I'm really interested in because that gets us into the higher end gear, which is the mecha suit. So we've got everything else done. We don't have netherite gear yet, but that's alright, we can do that. But everything else we've done in the last couple of episodes. So the polonium was like the last missing piece of the puzzle to get us into the mecha suit. So yeah, let's have a look at this nuclear waste. As you can see, that is going down. So it put 1,000 millibuckets in there, and that's already down to 950. And same again at this side. So I just need to basically keep running this reactor, and these will slowly fill up. Now, I can't let it go any faster than it is, unfortunately, because, yeah, my burst will explode and I will get radiation poisoning, and we don't want that. Right, so it appears to be filling that one up. Yeah, so it's not doing this on round robin, is it? It's just going into this one, which is fine, because it is actually this side that I want, and it's nighttime, so this isn't actually going to do anything, is it? So let's have a sleep. So the only thing with the solar neutron activator underground, you need to be aware of when it's nighttime. But it does have a handy indicator to say when it's working. There's this little green bar coming through it. That is actually doing it now, and we have the polonium coming into here. So yeah, it's going to be a very slow process to get any more of these, and I do need 2 for each piece of the armor. So yeah, we're going to need to get 8 of those. So I think that's a good place to leave it, isn't it? We've done very well getting this reactor up and running, and also producing the pellets that we're going to get from the nuclear waste. And next time we can take this to the next level and get an absolute ton of stuff, and even start crafting the higher end gear. So if you have enjoyed this episode, please do leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.